What a day. I was able to lock in $7,300 today, but it has been extremely volatile. I think it's going to be pretty crazy all week, really. There's a bunch of news and reports coming out this week, so I think the market is going to be just whipsawing back and forth all over. But today, it's not just about the money that I was able to make, but I'm also want to kind of talk about how I was able to make it and why I saw the setups that I did. So as mentioned in my previous videos, I always have a 1 hour chart pulled up for both the ES and the NASDAQ. As you can see, this is on TradingView. It's probably one of my favorite online charting platforms. So the top chart is the S&P and the bottom charts are the NASDAQ. Far left is the 1 hour, far right is the 3 minute. And this is kind of what I felt to be my ideal sweet spot. And focus on the fact that I said my sweet spot. Everyone is obviously different and they will have their own strategies, own time frames that they like that fit their strategies the best. This is just what currently works for me. So always look at the daily chart, and then throughout the day I'll have a daily chart pulled up as well as these hourly and 3 minute charts to try to figure out what the direction, what the trend is, and where I think the market is likely to be going in the future, and then what key levels we have either above or below us. And today what I found is, in my previous video I talked about that 18,660 level. If you haven't watched the video from last week, I highly recommend you do so. What do we see today? As soon as we broke above that 18,660 level that I had mentioned, we pretty much went straight up. We went from 660 all the way to that 18,760 area. So pretty much 100 points with very minimal resistance. It was a little bit lower volume. It was kind of like a slower grind to the upside. So this is something I know a lot of traders struggle with. And it's definitely something that I'm trying to work on, is being able to hold my trades a little bit longer. I only locked in, I think it was like 20 something points per contract for this, but with Apex, which is who I'm trading with right now, I'm just trying to be consistent and have, $200 to $500 days to get this $40,000 payout this month. So I definitely locked that in. And I also started trading some evals with Take Profit Trader, My Funded Futures, and Top Step. I just kind of want to have an account with pretty much every prop firm that I can, just in case something goes wrong with one of the prop firms or one of their servers is down. I think it's just overall good to have kind of like a balance and not rely on just one prop firm. I've seen a lot of YouTubers recently talk about some issues with Apex. I personally have not had any issues with Apex. I've currently requested and got approved for $36,750 worth of payouts. The only ones requested, I did have 2 that were rejected, and that was because I blew the accounts doing some very stupid stuff. Like I said, I've made all the mistakes, and I'm just trying to make these videos to show transparency and kind of just really show like everything that can happen during trading. It's not just all good, you make a bunch of money and everything's sunshine and rainbows. I've made every mistake, and hopefully watching these videos you can avoid making some of the mistakes that I did. All right, I'm gonna hop off my soapbox here. You guys didn't click this video to hear me rant, so let's get to the focus of the day, which is Confluence. What I like to do, I have multiple charts pulled up. I have the big top 5 tech, so I have like Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, and sometimes I'll have Amazon pulled up, and then I have SPX and the NASDAQ. And what you're gonna see here is the market moves very closely to each other. So you wouldn't think SPX and NASDAQ lined up perfectly with these key levels. However, let's dive in here. On the 5 minute chart for NASDAQ, we rejected this resistance level pre-market, and then we fell. SPX doesn't start opening up until 9:30, so we don't have any pre-market action to look for there. However, what happened when we opened? If we zoom in here, you can see we had a 5-minute candle on SPX that initially had opened, and then we came down and NASDAQ and SPX bottomed in the same area. And that just happened to be a big support from SPX last week. What did we also see at that time frame? VIX, the volatility index. Usually when VIX goes up, NASDAQ will go down. When VIX goes down, NASDAQ will go up. This does not always happen, but it's been pretty straight on for the last couple weeks. If you've been trading in the market, you know nothing always happens. If it always happened, then everyone would be a millionaire and there'd be no need for YouTube videos and no one would care. We'd all be on a beach sipping margarita somewhere. However, that's not the case. So we had to be careful and not just assume that because something happens, something else is directly going to happen because of it. However, we had VIX unable to make new highs. We had SPX holding above a previous huge level of resistance that is now turning support. And NASDAQ was holding the levels in which yesterday or the overnight levels that it bottomed at. Now, what else did we see? Apple. We had the initial bounce the first 5 minutes of the day. We had a pullback, and then we had a bunch of these like doji style candles that held above VWAP. This was telling me that Apple was strong and it was likely to move up. What do we got from NVIDIA? NVIDIA popped, also held around VWAP, and then got that huge push. You can see that there's kind of like a bear flag here, so I was expecting upside on NVIDIA. My strategy is the 50 moving average, which is this dotted white line. The 9 and the 20 moving averages are all stacked in this order. So we got the 20s above the 50, the 9s above the 20, and that's kind of how it works. And then also we had ES, that previous level of resistance was now turning support. As soon as we got back above that level, I expected us to come right back to the upside, trapping all of these short sellers below. And that's kind of exactly what we did. The first hour of the day had the plunge. Everyone tried to get short, thought the market was going to go lower. And we had this huge move straight to the upside. And that's when I caught this following trade. As you can see here, this orange line represents the 50 exponential moving average on the 5-minute chart. It's one of my favorite setups intraday. We reclaim this level and move to the upside, and then I use this level as my stop loss once we reclaim it. So as you can see, price hesitates in this area. Some sellers tried to come in on Bookmap, but I noticed they could not push the price down at all. They just kind of hovered around this area. Buyers kept coming in, and the CVD continued to grow positive. CVD is just cumulative volume delta, basically the number of sellers versus the number of buyers in these areas. It's going from 400 and it's moving up. So I entered one NASDAQ mini contract, and you can see my stop is below the current candle. And once the market starts to move in my direction, I will start to move my stop up to lock in profit. I will never let a green trade go red. So right now we're guaranteed profit with this trade. I'm trying to be patient and kind of let the trade play out. This is something I'm working on. Patience is probably one of the biggest things that will determine whether you're going to be a profitable trader or not. A lot of people will hold their losers praying that they're gonna get a move back in their direction. However, when it comes to the winners, as soon as you see a couple $100, you hop on out, and you'll see here, I noticed that there was that 18,700 level on Bookmap, which was a target, but we're also getting near these opening highs. So I definitely did not want to get reversed here. I wanted to make sure I still locked in a couple $100 while still giving the trade a little bit of room to work. Obviously, this is more of like a momentum style trading, so you want to ride the momentum while it's present. As soon as momentum starts to slow down, I creep my stop up further and further. And typically, like you'll see here on the 5-minute time frame, I'll put my stop below the low of the next candle, just in case we do get a big pullback, and I ended up getting stopped out right there. So able to lock in $7,300 across my accounts. Again, that's one of the benefits that I like with Apex so much, is you can have up to 20 accounts. So these $200, $300, $400 days end up being, you know, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 winners, just because you have all the accounts and you don't have to increase the size in which you trade in. But excited to get some funded accounts with these other prop firms, especially like Top Step and Take Profit Trader, get some more frequent payouts instead of having to wait the full 10 days that Apex currently has. And there's a lot of changes and stuff like that going on with Apex, so I just want to make sure that I have other means to trade in case any big changes or impacts there. Like I said, I've heard a lot of people have been getting denied payouts, and there's been a whole controversy on that, so I will definitely be fully transparent throughout this whole payout process, kind of let you know what my experience is, the approval times, and just overall how things are continually going with Apex. But yeah, as always, if you got anything out of this video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're able to make some money today, or if you struggled today, maybe there's some like learning points, tips and tricks that we can kind of go over in the comments and figure out how to avoid them in the future. So yeah, leave some comments below. What do you think the market's gonna do the rest of the week? I think it's gonna be extremely volatile, but we shall see.